our last show of 2023, and we are rolling into 2024 with some amazing guests, but more about that later. How are you, Tym Moss?
I am wonderful. I am really good. I'm ready for 2024.
We are so
totally
ready. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today to If These Walls Could Talk with Tym Moss and Wendy Stuart. Yes, it's us. Oh my God. It's us.
I completely forgot. That's why I grabbed my phone. I completely forgot to check what I did this last week.
Tim, what did you do this last week?
Okay, one thing, I shot Comedy Sex Show, which I love.
What's our girlfriend's name on that? What's her name?
Lola.
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 Right. Love Lola.
Yeah, we had a ball. Let me see. Oh, it was Christmas.
It was good. Oh,
yes,
it was Christmas and a Happy New Year. Well, last night we did a little Yuletide cheer.
That was so much fun.
At Julius. I love Julius Bar because it's the oldest gay bar in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only reason I love it. I love Helen, who owns it. And the crowd there is great. We got all of our friends together who were available. And we had a little Yuletide
It was wonderful.
cheer. And
it was very fun.
I did something very fun this week. Our amazing performer friend, Maria Connor, invited a bunch of us up in the middle of the week to her apartment. She's a wonderful piano player, electric guitar, like she's got energy, power. I say rage. I'm like, you're angry, Maria. You've got some rage in there. But she has us up to her 1-bedroom apartment on the 33rd floor of a high-rise in New York. And I got to tell you, this is really nerve. She's got people that are singers. She pulls out the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar, the baby grand piano. Yeah. We're all singing, playing the music. We're in a 1-bedroom high rise. Okay, the walls are paper thin. I'm thinking to myself, how the hell does she get away with this? Well, at 11:45, there was a knock on the door, and it was security. So we didn't get away with it much
So the show was over at 11:45.
The show was over at 11:45. But you know what? How unique is that to take all your friends to come to your apartment and put on a show? That's exactly what we did.
Absolutely.
Creative energy was just amazing. And last night, oh my God, Jamie, who's been on our show from the Velvet Stardust show, there's got to be like, her cast is 12 people, 4 band members, the rest dancers, singers, was at Stonewall last night. And
she's really amazing. She's an incredible dancer.
She is an incredible dancer, but her energy too. She's tiny.
Yeah.
She's like one of those amazingly perfectly formed, gorgeous people that like just they hit a stage and they burst. And my God, it feels so good.
Yes,
absolutely so good.
We love our creative friends.
We love our creative friends. And speaking of, Wendy wants to just give a little tip right now. I did see Maestro on Netflix.
Oh, how did you like that?
I did really love it. I had no idea like the amount of affairs that Leonard Bernstein had. Who knew that? But what an incredibly talented man. You know, they showed he had an extreme personality. He was a genius.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
But you know what? Had to be hell to be married to. Okay, I won't be judgmental, but anyway, speaking of creative geniuses and New Year's, our guest today is going to be performing New Year's Eve right here at Pangea. And please call up because tickets are like going like hotcakes.
Well, there's only a few left.
There's just like a couple. Yeah, call. Like if you're watching the show, call anyway, because he is really somebody to be reckoned with. The show will be at 8 p.m. And there's a reason they call him Mr. Showbiz. He is a singer, a pianist, a tap dancer, and a comedian. And he wrote the off-Broadway show Gershwin and American Rhapsody Review, MAC Awards, 3 years in a row. Come on, 3 years in a row with MAC Awards, Outstanding Musical Comedy Performer. He has played in every significant nightclub in New York and Los Angeles and a bunch of places in between. He's known internationally. He's one of New York's most acclaimed singers, pianist, and virtuoso of classical piano. Put your hands together for Mark Nadler.
Yes.
Was that good? Was that good?
That was good, except my name is pronounced Nadler. But other than that, that was great. Rhymes with mad, bad, and dangerous to know.
I totally love that. Yes. Bad, and dangerous to know.
What fun it is to be here.
Well, what fun it is. Mark Nadler, my God. It's like, just like looking at your biography, and I think you must have won more awards in more areas. And we have a lot of award-winning people on here, but it was like award after award. Like, where do you put them all?
I have a mantle in my office,
You need
and
bigger than one mantle. I think you need
it's a
bigger.
big
I've
mantle.
got like
Okay.
I've literally got like
Mega
pages of awards.
But the award that I didn't get, but that I was nominated for, that I'm most proud of, was the most recent, which was a half a year ago. I was nominated in Paris
Ooh,
for
ooh la
the-
la.
Oh yes.
for the Trophée de Théâtre Musical, which is
Well,
their Tony Award.
He spoke
Yeah.
French.
Yeah, but I don't listen. I'm not gonna. But that was the thing
That was it.
that was the thing that amazed me, was to win an award for a show that I did in Paris, in which I spoke French
Wow.
from the French. They
No, I
don't,
know, that
they don't
doesn't
like
happen.
people talking
Yeah.
their language.
Right. Exactly.
But I was really honored.
But you
I mean, I didn't
don't.
win. I didn't win. I was
No, but
nominated.
the fact that
Hey,
you were,
that's
come on, you know
amazing.
how it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
and
was
it's
really
very
thrilled to be nominated.
judgmental there.
Oh, tell me about
Because
it.
you
You can't even order a fucking croissant
croissant,
without attitude.
croissant, attitude. Lots of attitude. But
Beaucoup d'attitude.
how did you master the language enough to
I
be?
played in France. The first time I played in France was when I was 24 years old.
Oh, 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 years ago when you were 20.
It's been a hard life.
It's a lot of Mac awards between then and now too. Wow.
So I've been going back and forth to France a
But-
lot, and Belgium as well. You know,
So you have an ear for that.
So
you would have to
well,
have
I've
an
been
ear.
speaking the language for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, and other languages too.
No,
Mhm.
I totally get that feeling. You are such an incredible, versatile performer coming from Iowa.
I come from Iowa.
Another
I know.
corn-fed
Mhm.
boy.
Corn-fed.
Corn-fed.
Indiana
Iowa.
here.
Are you
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
originally from Indiana.
So, what does Indiana offer the nation? Like, every state has their thing.
Oh,
I mean,
Tim has
it's
to think hard on that one.
Iowa is the pork state. In fact, I just read this statistic in the New York Times. Was it yesterday I read it? Maybe even this morning. There are more pigs. Oh no, I know. It was a clue in the crossword
In the
puzzle.
crossword.
Well, how
There,
many
there are
pigs?
more pigs in Iowa than human beings.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
And that doesn't include my agent. I mean, we're talking like,
Are the pigs allowed to vote?
well, it looks that way, doesn't it? But
Oh my, we're already off on a tangent.
but yeah, and I'm Jewish, and that's really all I want to say about it.
Oh,
Okay,
goodness.
yeah. But you grew up there, and
I was there until I was 14.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's your formative
But I mean, those
years.
are very developmental years.
Right.
Yeah.
How
You
was that
Yeah.
for you? Was I
It
mean,
was
you're-
hell. I
right?
couldn't wait
It was
to leave. That's why I left when I was 14.
Mhm.
Yeah, I went to the Interlochen Arts Academy for high school.
right. Well,
Wow.
Interlochen is amazing. You have to be la creme de la creme
where
to
is
get
that?
in there.
That's in Michigan.
In
Yes, in
okay.
Michigan.
Northern
it's
Michigan.
an audition
Right.
school.
You had to audition,
Right.
but it was a boarding school for the performing arts. And as a gay Jewish
Boy from
14-year-old,
Iowa.
Mhm.
that was far preferable to me than going to high school in West Waterloo. And you know,
No, it wouldn't have been good for you.
I'd
It
be
would
dead.
have been good. Right.
I'd be
But
dead.
as a young child, this gift, and that's what I call it. You've had this since you were young.
I
Were you
started
like a
playing
little-
piano when I was. My brother says I was less than 4 years old.
Wow.
And I do know that I did my first public performance when I was 5, like
Mhm.
Baby June.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Let me entertain you. 5 years old.
But I had my first job when I was 10.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And
Uh-huh.
I've been working ever since.
No, the God's honest truth is that you are amazing. I mean, your resume and just any place I looked, there were reams and reams and reams. It's like some people are just born into this industry and they catch on and they don't have dry periods.
So were your parents supportive
Yeah,
of this?
my
That's
parents
wonderful.
my parents were thrilled. My mother came from Europe, and my father's family came from Poland. He was born in Iowa, but his family came from Poland. And so they had a European sensibility.
Mhm.
yeah, that's
And-
the fine arts.
Yeah, and my mother was a painter, and she was also
Oh,
a
okay.
violinist,
Ah,
and frankly, there were 3 kids who were older than I, who were all in college, and I wanted to go to Interlochen, and they couldn't afford it. So I put myself through school by working.
Uh-huh.
wow.
And yeah, they were thrilled to have me. You know, they knew where I was. I was working in a place called the Long Straw Saloon in Cedar Falls,
Iowa.
And they had real saloon girls. I was the midget at the
Oh
piano with
my
the derby. It was Iowa's idea of a theme park. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
my God.
And it was a
You were a
blast.
kid.
I was
You
a
were
little
a kid.
Yeah,
How
I was a little
funny.
kid. But it was a great training ground. And then when I came to New York right after high school, I went right into the business. I never went to college.
Well, look at the training you had, though. You came
Well,
from
I had on the
Interlochen.
job
Yeah, and you
training.
had on the job, but you had the whole background.
Yeah.
What
But
was
that's so amazing to me that you innately you've just been a performer your entire life, and you
I don't know how it is
discovered
for you. I don't know what caused you to want to be a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was, well, I had already sort of started performing, but when my mother took me to see Funny Girl in the movie theater,
that would do it.
In the movie theater, I didn't listen. The story went right over my head.
Right.
But I saw this funny little Jewish creature singing "I'm the greatest star," and I thought, "That's me."
That's me. No, I'm the greatest star, Babs.
And in fact, I went into our synagogue. We had a synagogue in Waterloo,
Oh
Iowa.
my goodness.
40 families.
Well, that was one of my questions.
You want to know what? The building is now an evangelical church.
Oh my God.
There are no more Jews there. Well, listen, they had to pay the rent. Anyway, I quickly learned the song, "I'm the Greatest Star," and I went into the synagogue, and at Sunday school, I got up and I sang that. And I said, "This is what it is to be Jewish."
Good for you.
And the rabbi said, "No, this is what it is to Jewish," and he made me study Hebrew some more.
Yeah.
But to me, show business and Jewish for a long, long time. It's not so much anymore, but show business and Jewish were really intertwined.
Yeah,
oh my God, are you kidding? The Borscht Belt, like my
and also Broadway,
vaudeville. Yeah,
I mean all of the
Hollywood films.
Yeah,
so they were, exactly. But you know what? Look at you. So you came here at 17 years of age.
Wow.
I did.
And you hit the ground
6 years ago.
Yeah. I know we keep rolling the clock back. But you know what? You hit the ground running and you clicked. What were some of your earlier productions that you did?
I mean,
you were working.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was cast in some plays. I played the role of Nikki in The Vortex, which is Noel Coward's first play. I played Emery in The Boys in the Band. These were off-Broadway productions. But really, I made my living mostly when I first came to New York playing the piano bars.
Wow.
You're such an accomplished pianist.
Well, it's also, that was my version of waiting tables. When I couldn't get a job as an actor, I would play in the piano bars instead of because it was better money, and who wants to be a waiter?
Right.
And it was part of show business.
Yeah.
And I really developed my following in those piano bars, particularly the Five Oaks. Do you remember the Five Oaks?
Oh, wow. We're really going back here. Yeah. Oh, wait, you're only 17. I'm sorry.
I'm 17.
You had a good point. You developed a following.
I played at the Five Oaks between Marie Blake's sets for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And it was my favorite job. I just loved it.
Now, do you play by ear?
I play by ear and by music. But I started out playing by ear. Yeah, I do both.
So again, innately, you just had the feel for the piano and the sound and how to create.
Well, my sister is 10 years older than I am, and she was a classical pianist, and she was sitting there playing, and I would just want to do that. So when she finally relinquished the piano, I would go over and try to figure out how to do what she was doing.
But we have your mom, who was a classical violinist
and a painter,
and your sister classical.
Pianist. And because my mother was, and my father loved music too, so all of my siblings. I had a brother who played the cello. I had a brother who played the guitar and violin, and so I
came from that kind of background.
Well, they wanted us to
flourished.
Well, they wanted us to be musicians,
right?
And I didn't really want to be a classical musician, and I'm really not a classical musician. But
classical music is the basis of all music.
I guess in the way that ballet is the basis of all dance. But if you try to tap dance with a turned out ballet leg, you're going to be in big trouble. Well, not only that,
by the way,
ballet
tap dances too.
I do tap dance. When I went to Interlochen, they had it. It was so great for a gay boy. You could choose between PE or dance. If you didn't
Well,
want to take
duh.
PE, hello.
Dance must have been like bursting.
Oh,
I would imagine.
exactly. There were a lot of
There
boys in dance
There were
class.
10 boys in PE, and
Exactly.
like they
You're
were
so right.
angling for position.
You're so right. But yeah, so I
God
started
bless
studying
you.
ballet and modern, and that's when I started tapping. And yeah, it was very useful to me in my career.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely. Well,
there's-
just that whole wide variety.
yeah.
And you know, I still tap. I mean,
Uh-huh.
but I still am in class. I'm in class every week
Oh my goodness.
to keep my chops up.
Right.
Keep
Wow.
learning new
There's
things.
not a ton of people that are coming up now that are tappers
Yeah.
because
Well, I don't agree with you. They're tap dancing.
that are out here working. I mean, you're one of
Oh.
the few that we've interviewed that's tap
Oh well,
dances.
maybe not in this.
Yeah, this genre,
arena.
yeah.
But tap dance is with people like what's her name? It's just too early in the day, but there are lots of
It'll come to you at 2 in the morning.
great
Tap
dancers.
dancers, yeah.
Ayadel, because something. She was the
Mhm.
choreographer of the most recent revival of Funny Girl. That keeps coming up, but she's a fantastic, amazing tap dancer. Caleb
Oh, and
Teicher.
the tap dancer in Funny Girl on Broadway.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah,
Exactly, and that was her choreography. And
Wow.
Caleb Teicher is extraordinary. And there, in fact, Caleb Teicher, I saw him do a concert at the 92nd Street Y with a pianist named Tao. I can't remember his first name. And he tapped the Rhapsody in Blue.
Oh my God!
And
Can you
could
imagine that,
hear,
Tim?
You could hear it
right
from his
in time.
tapping. He's
Oh
so
my God,
able
so
to create
precise.
tone and able to create tone with the sounds.
Wow.
It's extraordinary. And 24, one of the things we'll be celebrating in 2024 is the centenary year of the Rhapsody in Blue.
Oh wow.
I didn't
100
know
years
that.
old. Yeah. So I'll be
What-
doing
yeah, what
some
are
of the
you doing?
Rhapsody in Blue on New Year's Eve.
Okay,
Here at
well,
Pangea.
let's
So,
talk about
yeah,
New Year's
8
Eve.
o'clock, New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
Pangea. Be there or be square. No, it's very exciting.
And
that
why
you're gonna
8
be here.
o'clock? Why 8
I
o'clock?
was going to say, I thought it was a typo when I
No,
first read it.
I'll tell you
but
why.
Why 8 o'clock?
Because I don't want to be in the craziness at midnight.
At
I want to be
midnight.
home by midnight.
I agree.
So
with
there
you.
are a lot of people who feel this way. So if you want
Absolutely.
to, you can come to Pangea. You can dine on the glorious food starting at 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starting
That
at
Marvin
6.
And the
makes.
food
You
is
don't-
fabulous.
You don't
here.
have to be 90 years old and want the early bird special. You could,
Yes.
you could just maybe want to have an earlier evening. You can start dining at 6. You can dine at 8. You can
Relaxing.
dine anytime.
Right.
The show starts at 8. I'll be done by 9:30. We'll knock back a couple drinks together and I'm
Perfect.
out of
And
here.
then we'll call it a dayola.
Well,
move into
or
the new
if
year.
people want to
They
come
can
out to
hang
the
out
front
here,
of Pangea
course.
Yeah.
and
stay
hang
there,
out till
sure.
midnight, they can.
Yeah, I've been
But
here
the
for
show,
it's great here.
you know, sometimes you don't want to be in a formal setting looking at a show at midnight.
Right.
You
right.
want to be,
Yeah, you
know,
wanna
That's kind
kick
of the
back.
warm
mixing it up.
The
It is
warm-up.
the warm-up,
show
though,
is
Tim's
the
right.
show is the sort of sophisticated, elegant, glorious part of your New Year's Eve celebration,
Mhm.
and then the party is out here in the front room afterwards. It's a whole evening.
It's a great
Yeah.
evening.
Or you can just go home, which is what I'm going to do. In fact, if you want,
Yeah, you-
if you want, there are only a few seats left. So anybody,
Yes,
so listen,
absolutely.
anybody who buys one of those few seats, you can come to my house after the show. It's only going to be like 5.
Or you could
That's
sweeten the
fabulous.
deal. You could say you would buy them a drink at the bar.
You can buy them a drink at the bar. Wendy's going to buy you a drink
I
at the
didn't think you
bar.
wanted all those people coming to your house at
That's so
midnight.
exciting.
But again, that
This is
is
great.
this Sunday,
New Year's Eve.
December 31st at
Yep.
8 p.m. at Pangea.
it's
And you can
great.
go to pangeanyc.com and get your tickets
Or you can just call.
for Mark Nadler.
Yeah, and you
Yes.
can just call.
What's
and-
the
and
phone
get
number?
your
Do you know the
ticket.
phone number?
I do. I have
don't.
to look it up. Hold on. You talk amongst
Steve,
yourselves.
What's the phone number here? 212 995 0900.
212-995.
0900. Let's sing it. 212-995 0900.
Now you got it?
212-995
Here we go.
0900.
For Mark Nadler, you'll see this show.
And then go home to your
bed. Oh my God. I think we're onto something here.
It's a #1 hit. I smell it.
You can just smell it. So I want to just jump back a little bit in time with you. You were 5 years doing piano, playing piano, doing work. What really started to take off for you? When did you feel like you had found your center?
Well, it took a long time, to tell you the truth.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting cast in plays, and I was dancing and singing on Broadway very little bit, but mainly it was the cabaret thing.
Yeah.
And I really knew that I had succeeded when I became a regular at the Algonquin. And year after year at the
Julie
Algonquin.
Wilson, yeah.
Julie was a very good friend of mine.
I'm sure.
Julie was from the Midwest.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she was from Missouri. But yeah, I mean, KT Sullivan and I were playing at the Algonquin every year for 5 years. And
was that the Oak Room?
that was the Oak Room.
Yeah.
And we also played at the Carlisle at that time once.
Oh, wow.
I love
And
those places.
when you played venues like that, you knew you'd made it.
Mhm.
You knew that, for example, if you did a show, you knew you were going to get a review in the New York Times. You knew you were going to get the coverage. You knew you were going to make a certain amount of money. I was suddenly able to afford a different kind of life.
Right.
than
A
I had had
lifestyle.
Well, yeah, one question I have is the arts. Okay, you got show business,
Mhm.
which to put on a show, you have to have the business, you have to have the money. And a lot of times in art, where art is about emotion, business is no emotion. And how did you learn
Good
to
question.
blend those
Well,
two?
you know,
balance it.
Tim, the thing is, cabaret is an entrepreneurial art form.
Mhm.
It's the only truly entrepreneurial performing art.
Hmm.
Because you have to self-produce.
Yeah,
Right.
You often self-direct,
and promote.
and you have to self-promote.
Mhm.
You have to do it all.
Right.
And for me, one of the reasons I was always able to make a really good living is because I never had to pay an accompanist.
Ah,
'Cause I play for myself.
That is,
It saves
you
a
know
lot of
what?
money.
Right.
Oh,
No,
yes.
you know what? Now that you
Yes.
said that, that's absolutely true. You
And
can sing and play the piano at the same time. That's a biggie.
It wasn't until long into my career when I was really making real money that I started hiring other musicians to be part of my shows
Because you could.
because I could.
Right.
Mhm.
But that, you have to learn the business of it if you're going to succeed.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
with cabaret, you don't have a choice because there's no financial reason why anybody would produce a cabaret show. There aren't enough
I'm sorry
seats.
to laugh,
That's
but
but
it's,
true.
True,
I'm
there's just not
laughing
enough
because
seats.
right.
The finite amount of
No,
income
exactly.
is
Exactly.
there's
It's finite.
Yes.
That's
yes.
exactly right by
right.
definition.
Right.
Mhm.
We were-
So, but I also, I had a wonderful manager. His name was Arthur Schaffman.
Mhm.
He passed away about 10 years ago,
Mm.
but he took me to that next level.
Nice.
He was the one who got me booked all over the world.
Oh,
So
I mean,
this
I
was
was
a
already
very
working-
real manager. It's important to emphasize this was a real manager.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a gazillion
Yes,
of them,
yes.
and I
No,
love
no,
that
no,
you
this
said
guy-
his name.
This guy, he used to own the Bijou Theater on Broadway where Moumenchance played,
oh,
and he was the original
wow.
producer of Moumenchance, and he was the real deal.
He knew the
Uh-huh.
business.
He was the real deal.
Right.
And those of us who were his clients, he thought of us as his children.
Mhm.
He didn't have
Yeah.
children; he had us.
Mhm.
He would call daily just to see how we were doing.
How are you doing,
and-
Mark?
Oh.
And when I play Australia annually, and
Uh-huh.
it
you
started
Adelaide.
which when I'm there they call it Nadelaide. They do.
I love that.
And
Adelaide, I'm dying to go there.
oh, it's so
It's
wonderful.
fun.
Anyway, it was Arthur who first booked me there at the Adelaide Cabaret Festival.
Mhm.
And when I got there, the woman who is the producer of the Adelaide Cabaret Festival came over to me and she said, I want you to know, I love Arthur so much. He spoke very slowly, very low. And she said, talking to him is like, it's like going into another world where I meet a funeral director who knows show business.
That's hilarious.
Arthur.
Right.
Oh,
Hilarious.
goodness.
But you know what? He knew his stuff, and you
Well, and
said
he
something.
was the one who got me.
Next level. You said he took you. So many
Well, because-
actors are at a loss for that. There's so many
Yeah.
charlatans out there that say they do
You're
this
right.
and say they do that, and you start working with them, and God
You
forbid
find out.
you sign that contract and you don't have a lawyer look at it, and what you think is
Yeah.
going to be 6 months is not. You
Mhm.
are forget it.
Yeah,
you
screwed
know?
is the word.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Arthur got me to. I wasn't only performing in cabarets once I started working with Arthur. Thanks to Arthur, I was performing in concert halls.
Nice.
And I mean,
That's huge, though, that he was
Well,
able
that
to
made
do
a big
that.
difference.
That is next
and
level.
and
Yeah.
also,
right,
I mean,
Tim.
when I was able to be a soloist with the New York Pops at Carnegie Hall,
Oh, my
that's a whole other
God.
thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When I mean, I did a concert. Arthur didn't have anything to do with this. He had been dead by that point, but because of my relationship with the New York Pops,
Right.
Mhm.
I did a concert at the Mann Center in Philadelphia, which is it's like Tanglewood. It's
I love
Mhm.
Tanglewood.
16,000 seats.
And there you
Oh
were.
my
we
God.
only sold 9,000.
Oh my
but
well,
God.
forgive
But it was
me.
9,000
That's
people,
wonderful.
and it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
me and the New
Right.
York Pops for 2 acts.
Oh
it was
my
as a
God,
soloist. It was so
Mark.
thrilling. And then the next year, I went back and played the Mad Center with Marvin Hamlish conducting the Philadelphia Pops,
Wow.
and it was a
Martin-
show of
Martin
me
Short.
with
Yeah.
Martin Short and Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Wow.
Oh
It was
my God.
it was-
How fun.
I
It
have
was
to
so
ask you
exciting.
an honest question. If you
Do I have to
had,
give an honest
yeah,
answer?
because we only tell the truth. We're authentic on here.
All right.
You have all this talent, and we know of people that some bursting with talent, right? But it took this manager to get you to the next level. Do you think if you hadn't had this connection with him, that you would have still been tap dancing?
There's
playing
no way to
piano?
know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's just
it's
no way
like,
to know.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, because that person was really a catalyst behind everything.
Yeah,
for you.
he
could-
was,
he could book
absolutely.
you.
And
But-
also recognized your talent.
Right,
Your
and he knew it.
multitude of
Yeah,
talents.
right, Tim.
And
He
you
knew
want
how
to know what?
Yeah,
There are a lot of people who don't and didn't recognize that.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I'm sure, we all go through it.
Mhm.
but
You have-
that's interesting to me because to me, someone like you, it's bursting everywhere, and I meet you, and you've been so incredibly lucky that you have had the right things happen. You meet people that, for whatever reason, didn't have the right things happen, and
Well,
there's
that's true.
nothing wrong
And
with
you also,
that.
Wendy, I have lots of friends who, not lots, I have some
You
friends.
only have a couple of
I
friends.
only
Okay,
have,
about it.
I only have one friend, and he's dead.
Right.
But no, I have some friends who have been very
Sorry.
successful playing lead roles on Broadway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And now can't get a job.
Right. Right.
good, and that is a good point, and that is the truth.
You know,
Right, that's
Mhm.
unbelievable.
There are plenty of people in our business who you get to a certain level, and then you're expected to be able to deliver that all the time.
Right.
But we age,
Thank
Uh-huh.
you.
and so how do you?
Morph it into the new that.
Yeah,
Right. It's
exactly.
more, right.
And the more successful you are at an extremely young age, the more difficult that
They
is.
said
Right,
it,
right. Because it's almost like they put you in that box.
Well, I mean, people, we the culture devouring public
Right.
Mhm.
fall in love with
Mhm.
somebody, a
Right.
performer.
Or
and
a
we want-
performance.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Uh-huh.
good point.
and we want
right.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
we want
We
that.
want it again and again. We
Right.
want
Yeah,
it always to be
And
that.
if that person changes, then sometimes we're able to go along with it as the public, and sometimes
That's
we're not.
That is
I'm
very
lucky that
accurate.
people have been able to go along with whatever I've become. My followers have not expected me to be what I was before.
Mhm.
Probably because I wasn't that great when I started. I was okay. I had a lot of
That's it.
energy,
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
but I mean, I wasn't sophisticated musically. I've been
Mhm.
growing.
You
And
grew
my
into who
follow-
you are.
Well,
This
and my
person
following
here.
has followed me and
I love
watched
it.
me grow.
Wow.
Right.
So
And
they've watched your
So I've
evolution.
been lucky, and they've
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
And
Yeah,
they've enjoyed
exactly.
it.
And they've enjoyed
been
it.
a part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They like you. They
Yeah.
really, really like you.
they do.
Oh my God. We
All
have,
12 of them.
we have a clip.
Yes, I want to see
We
the
have
video.
a clip that you had sent
Oh,
us.
this clip.
This clip.
Speaking of Paris,
Oh, ooh la la.
well, I'm not going to be singing in French,
Ugh,
but
so disappointed. Mon Dieu.
in December of 2019, I was brought to Paris
right before the
again to do a live radio broadcast on what is essentially their NPR.
Mhm.
And
Amazing.
they do a live radio show with an orchestra.
Oh
and
my God.
in front of an audience, and it's very
Nice.
thrilling.
How-
I
that's
love
cool.
that.
It's very
Live radio
exciting.
show, right?
So I did a number with the orchestra, and I tapped and all of that. And then just before the broadcast, somebody had dropped out. And they said, "Can you put together another number quick?" I said, "Well, not with the orchestra." They said, "Just do a solo with the piano." So what you
Yeah,
were
with
so
your
what-
eyes closed.
so what you are going to see is me
I love it.
throwing together a solo
I love it.
in front of the audience
In
as
front of-
as if it's what we planned all along.
right. And for all of France.
Right. But you know what? From you, I would expect nothing. It's what you do. They threw
Okay,
you up
so
there.
you
Come
are
on.
about to see the true professionalism
Right.
of Mark Nadler.
And why he's called Mr. Showbiz.
I love a piano. I love a piano. I love to hear somebody play on a piano. A grand piano, it simply carries me away. I know a fine way to treat a Steinway. I love to run my fingers over the keys, the ivories with the pedal. I love to meddle, not only music from Broadway. I get so excited when I'm invited to hear a long-haired genius play. Saying, keep your fiddle, keep your bow, give me a P-I-A-N-O. Oh, I love to stop right beside an upright or a high-tone baby grand. As a child, I went wild when the band played. How I ran to the man when his hand swayed. Clarinet was my pet, and a slide trombone I thought was simply divine. But today, when they play, I could hiss them. Every bar is a jar to my system. Yet there's one musical instrument that I call I love to hear somebody play upon a piano, upon a piano. It carries me away. I love a fine way to treat a Steinway. I love to run my fingers over the keys, the ivories, and with the pedal. I love to meddle, not only music from Broadway, but I get so excited when I'm invited to hear a genius play. So keep your fiddle, keep your bow, give me a P-N-I-N-A-N-O. Stop right beside an upright. All right, so
Fabulous,
Oh,
fabulous.
my
Give
God.
me a P, an I, an A-N-O.
Well,
yes.
that's the song.
That was just pure
Oh, my
entertainment.
God.
And the fact that
Well,
you
that's
did
what
this
we do.
off of the top of your
Well,
head.
not just anybody
Well,
can do that.
I didn't write the song.
No, but
It's
look
Urban
what you
Berlin.
did. Look at how you served up the song.
Well,
Absolutely.
here's a coda to that story.
Mm-hmm,
That song, of course, is by Irving Berlin, right?
mm-hmm.
So I was doing this show in Paris in last March, this past
Mhm.
March, the show that I was nominated for that award for. And we're doing the show. And in that show, I do some Irving Berlin. And after one performance, I come out of the theater and there's this little sweet woman standing there, adorable. And she said, "I just loved what you did." And I said, "Oh, you speak English. I'm so glad." And she said, "Well, I was particularly thrilled with this Irving Berlin stuff. And I have to tell you, Irving Berlin was my grandfather."
No. Are you kidding? What are the chances
my
of that?
God.
Right?
Right.
And she came to see the show because she had happened to be in that audience at that France Musique presentation, and she loved the way I did I Love a Piano, and so she came to see
God.
And how incredible
Isn't that
for
lucky?
some. Yeah, no, it's not lucky. That was meant to be.
Well, it's sort of
That was-
interesting.
yeah.
Her mother,
Absolutely.
Irving
yeah, that
Berlin's
was meant
Irving
to-
Berlin's second daughter, whose name was Linda, named for Cole Porter's wife, Linda.
Wow.
His second daughter lived in Paris, and
Hmm.
so she raised her family in Paris, and this girl is
Oh my
from Paris.
goodness.
But
and
what
there
an
she was.
incredible story.
Yes, and
It
we've
was
kept in
almost like Irving
touch.
Berlin was sending her to you, to
Yeah.
give you
absolutely.
approval. How
Yeah.
But the one
amazing.
thing that I love is your appreciation for like the great American Gershwin.
Well, yeah,
Cole
the
Porter.
I love
yeah.
all of those. I
Irving
love all of
Berlin,
those guys,
yeah.
but I don't only love those guys. And
Mhm.
to me, what I think this whole Great American Songbook thing is a little bit of a joke,
Mhm.
personally.
What so I'm not a singer. I only learned about the Great American Songbook from we've had a lot
Michael
of cabaret
Feinstein.
people. Right, from Michael Feinstein told me
Right.
everything I know. But what for somebody like me,
All right, so
what
what
defines the Great American Songbook?
Well, that's a damn good question. I mean, some
That's why I'm here today.
essentially, I think what they're referring to when they say the Great American
The Great
Songbook
American Songbook.
is are the popular songs that were written by American
Composers.
songwriters
Songwriters.
from.
Usually before the 70s.
Well, I was
Correct,
going to
or-
say, usually
or-
what you're talking about is the popular song music from the mid-teens, 19-teens, starting with Alexander's Ragtime Band in
Right.
1913.
Oh yeah, come on,
1911.
come on, yeah.
Starting with Alexander's Ragtime Band in 1911, probably, and going maybe through the 50s, but not into the 60s.
Mhm, right.
But then some people will say, well, Kander and Ebb and the guys who wrote Fiddler, Harnick and Bach and Harnick,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that they're part of the Great American Songbook. Well, that's the 60s and the 70s. So
Right.
who knows? what
Who
it is?
knows,
And
right?
Sondheim. And
Well, but see, so I would say
Sondheim.
Sondheim is not part of the Great American
Oh,
Songbook,
yeah.
except for his contributions as a lyricist to Gypsy and West Side Story, because he's too late. But who knows and who
But how
cares?
do
well, that's what I
define-
mean.
right, how
That's
do
what
you
I mean.
define
There's
it by
there's
that
a gray
time? Yeah.
area there
Yeah, but
with
I
who
think
they
that,
allow
It
in
is,
and
right,
who they
exactly.
but the thing is that at that time, the differentiation to me is that the popular songs came from Broadway scores,
don't.
starting with that time.
Yeah, that's true.
All of the popular music, the way that it got out there was it started on Broadway.
Right, I agree.
And so the definition to me of what we call the Great American Songbook songs is that they started on Broadway and became hugely popular,
Mhm.
or not.
Right.
You know, the people who love the Great American Songbook are always wanting to hear something by Cole Porter that they've never heard before, something by Berlin that they've never heard
Exactly.
before. They want to be these aficionati, and fine, I do a lot of obscure material, but to me, a great song is a great song, and a rotten song
Right.
is a rotten song.
No matter
Yeah.
what, no matter
Yeah.
who did
Exactly.
it. That's the
I mean,
point,
some will say,
right.
how much is that doggy in the window is part of the Great American Songbook? Well, what's great about it? You know, it's
I think that's a cute song. I like that.
Well,
How
she likes
much is
doggies.
that
I love
doggy in the
doggies.
Well,
window?
speaking of doggies.
Yes. Speaking of doggies, right, Tim, that was a perfect segue. No, you know what? I really wanted to talk
I am
about this on
so
here.
sorry I brought that
No,
song.
because this I love trivia, and I'm reading
Exactly.
about
This
Mark.
is
And,
great.
in 2004, Mark
Yeah.
gave a very special party for a certain someone. Can you talk about that, please?
All right. So when my dog, Admiral Rufus K. Boom, turned 13,
And what was he? We need to know.
he
the
was a
grade.
Wheaton Terrier.
A Wheaton. Okay.
He was a purebred Wheaton. It's the only
I love
purebred I've
that.
ever had. He when he turned 13, I decided to throw what I called a bark mitzvah.
just
I
love
coined
it.
the phrase.
I love that.
My intention was to do a parody of these bar
These,
mitzvahs. that-
outlandish.
when
bar
I've had to
mitzvahs,
play
right?
bar mitzvahs for people, and it's all about showing off how rich the parents are, and it
Right,
has nothing to do with the kid or the
Right,
religion.
Right.
So I thought I want to do that for my dog. So
Why not?
so it was a parody. So I had, for example, I had all the food that Jews love to eat that's not kosher. So
The
mounds
shrimp,
mounds
that was
of
the shrimp.
shrimp,
Right.
Reuben sandwiches,
course.
because you're not supposed to mix
Yeah.
meat
Yeah,
with milk,
right.
and Chinese food, pork
Oh,
fried
Oh,
my
rice.
pork
God,
fried
that-
rice and all
And,
of that.
and I actually had a big Virginia ham with Jewish stars carved into it. And
I just love this.
the
This
bark
is
mitzvah
gorgeous.
cake was for that particular bar mitzvah, it was just
There've been more than one.
yeah. Well, it caught on. So I sent out the bar mitzvah cake was made out of chopped liver.
Yeah.
It was a dog bone in the shape of chopped liver.
Oh my God.
So
Good for dogs and people too.
exactly.
Yeah, right?
So the New York Times, I sent out formal invitations the way that you do when you're having a bar mitzvah.
Right.
I spent a fortune on these invitations. In the tradition of our ancestors, we invite you to come to, as Admiral Boom becomes
a man.
So one of the invitations I sent to a friend who lived across the hall from an editor at the New York Times, not knowing that she would show it to him. And he had a reporter come and cover the event.
Brilliant.
So it was
And
covered.
once again, it had nothing to do with the dog, but how
No, exactly.
Right.
So it was covered in the title of the article. It was on the front page of the Metro section.
I love it.
that's
I would
of the New York Times.
that.
And the title of the article was "Today I Am a Dog." And then it said in parentheses, "Actually, I've always been a dog."
Yeah. Went from a puppy to a dog.
Yeah.
Now, where did you have it? Did you book
At
it
my house.
You did it
Oh,
at your house.
God.
And
At
how
my
many
house, I was
people
living in
came?
Riverdale. I think there were about 70 people.
70 people.
Yeah. And
Bar
one of them was
mitzvah.
I had a friend who was a cantor, and he gave. The
Oh no, you did
blessing.
not have a
my
cancer.
God.
You
Yeah,
had a
he
cancer.
sang. Yeah.
Oh,
And and I had friends of mine who are, everybody who is a friend of mine who was a singer had to sing a song about my dog.
Yeah.
And
I wish I had known
I
you then. I would love that.
I sang, "My boy Boom, he is tall and as tough as a tree." I made all dog lyrics about it. And so it was such a success that
This is so
then
incredible, Mark.
when the next dog I had, whose name was Banjo, the wonder dog, when Banjo turned 13, I threw a bar mitzvah, but word had gotten out.
Mhm.
And at that party, there were 140 people.
Yeah, it was the place to be.
Well, except for it was like, in Breakfast at Tiffany, the Holly Golightly party,
Yes,
where
yes.
everybody's like this, and
Yeah.
you can't move.
They
And
were
the cat's
packed.
crawling.
Exactly. My
Right.
partner wanted to go into the kitchen.
You couldn't get in the kitchen.
He had to go out the front door, go around the house,
use the
and
service
go
entrance.
in through the back door.
Right.
Well, not the service entrance. But yeah, to be able, it was too jammed. It was too
Oh,
jammed.
my
Did you have
God,
other
that's
dogs
wonderful.
at this?
Well, no, dogs are not invited. Just like, it's not about the dog. It's about
Yeah.
Just like it's not really about the bar mitzvah kid.
Never,
Right.
Exactly.
A bar
and people will
mitzvah.
say it is, but it's not.
That's
So you're the one
brilliant.
that really coined the phrase. You put
As
it
far
on
as I
there.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, and because of this article in the Times, there were angry phone calls into radio shows in Chicago, and all Jews who were very, very upset that I had.
They were
done that.
offended. You offended them.
I thought to
Was
myself,
it the stars in the ham that did it?
I don't know. But I thought, you just have too much time on your hands if you're worried about this.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really.
But I would probably have sang, "This is not a puppy love."
And they call it puppy love.
Tim already picked out his
Oh, well,
song.
you're coming to the next one.
He already
My
did.
dog Figaro will be 13 in 6 years.
Okay.
Oh,
book.
Tim, you have to mark it on your calendar so you're ready. You can work on something.
Oh,
So you have a show that's going to be upcoming that you had
Oh, I'm
done.
so
I want to just
excited.
call out.
Oh.
You had previewed it at the Fresh Fruit Festival that our friend Jed Ryan produces. Yeah, Jed, and I love Jed to death. He's a wonderful reviewer and a great
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that show and what's happening next with it? Because I'm
Sure.
excited.
I'm excited too. So Donald Stephen Olson is a wonderful playwright, and he wrote a play about when Christine Jorgensen came back from Denmark in 1953,
Mhm.
having gone there as George Jorgensen,
Right.
Right.
and came back
And
as
that was again 1953.
53.
Which was
53.
unheard
Yeah, it
of.
was. I remember
So-
growing up hearing about that.
So
you know.
Christine Jorgensen was the first well-known, not the first person to
Mhm.
have gender reassignment surgery,
Right.
but she was the first one to become known for it.
And they
Mhm.
called it in those days. I remember being like 8 years
Sex
old.
change.
My mother is like, "Oh, that's the one that had the sex change."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
That-
The sex
And
change.
and what happened with Christine, she was actually a very shy woman,
Mm.
but she spent all of the money she had to have this surgery,
Wow.
and she needed money, so she sold her story to Hearst. And Hearst put it in all the papers. She became the most famous person in the world
For that.
Right.
And because she was so famous for that, she couldn't get a job.
Wow.
And she needed money. So a manager signed her to cash in on her fame.
Well, here we go with that. Yeah.
And he had her put together a nightclub act. Well, she couldn't sing, she couldn't dance. So he hired an alcoholic song and dance man to teach her how to sing, how to dance, and to put together a club act for her. So the play is the two of us.
Wow.
It's the alcoholic song and dance
Oh my God.
and Christine Jorgensen, and it's
a two-person
it's a two-person play, and with songs. Donald Stephen Olson also wrote the songs. I wrote them with him because he's not a musician, so I turned them into songs. But he so it has songs in it, and the play is the two of them creating this act together, getting to understand each other. The character that I play has a longer way to go in the arc of the story than Christine does, because
that's interesting.
Well, he's got to go from completely not understanding this whole deal,
what she went
and
through,
with
or
the character a little washed up,
completely washed up,
and he's worn around the edges.
Yeah, and this is his big opportunity. Because if he can be on stage with her, even though she has no talent, he can maybe get known a little bit, and he can make a living again. He's living in a rehearsal studio. So, but the thing is, to me, he's exactly like so many people today who live in a bubble, who just simply are not sophisticated enough to understand the gray areas of gender.
Right.
And he starts out that way as one of those people. But because he's a human being, and because Christine is a human being, and
that's
their relationship, she educates him just by being who she is, and him having to be around her. And by the end of the play, he appreciates her, he loves her, he gets it.
Accepts her.
He totally accepts
her.
And he even falls in love with her to a degree.
Wow.
And so it's a whole arc for this character, and I
love
playing
what an opportunity for you to play a character like this.
It's the most amazing opportunity.
So now you did this at the Fresh Film
So we
Festival.
did it at Fresh Fruit Festival in April, and an off-Broadway producer picked it up and is taking it to 59 East 59th Street theaters.
I love that theater.
And some of you out there may know the actor Jessie James Keitel. She was in the television show Big Sky. She was in the remake of Queer as Folk. She was in, she played a transgender character in the last iteration of Star Trek. And she's going to be playing, she's a wonderful actor, and she's going to be playing Christine.
Oh,
wow.
So it's
great.
Yeah, 59 East 59th Street theaters. We open on Valentine's Day.
So that's coming up in February.
Like huge. How perfect. You have to let us know. And this
open on Valentine's Day, 8 shows a week. I think we're playing right now. We're scheduled to play through March 3rd, and then we'll see.
The point taken here, you do something like the Fresh Fruit Festival, which is a lot of original works. They are it's so far off Broadway, right?
I've done farther off. Right. I actually did a show in Queens.
Listen, and you know what? That's a point well taken, because you got to get your feet wet sometimes.
Well, it's not just that. If you get a good part, do it.
I agree. God, I love this. I love that you sitting here with everything you've done, that you can say that, because that is the God's honest truth. And you did the Fresh Fruit Festival, and someone saw this play and picked it up.
Well, I was honored. First of all, you have to understand this. Donald Stephen Olson wrote this part for me. He saw me. I directed a show I directed a play that he wrote called Oscar and Walt, about Oscar Wilde and Walt Whitman when they met. They had an encounter. And it's a wonderful play, and I directed it, and he loved what I did with it. And so he came to see me perform. He had never heard of me. He came to see me perform.
He only saw you as a director.
Right. But he wanted to see what I did as a performer, so he came to see me perform, maybe out of like friendship, or maybe like, oh, I better go support my friend. And he loved what he saw, and he got inspired, and he wrote this play for me.
Wow.
So when the Fresh Fruit Festival,
when the Fresh Fruit
Festival agreed produce it. How was I going to say, yeah, I don't want to play it there? No, of course I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to do it.
Well, again, and that's also how you kind of sharpen things up and get used to working.
Oh yeah, totally right. Right. You can workshop it and something like that.
Well, it's what we did at the Fresh Fruit Festival is very, very, play has changed a lot.
Right.
The producer brought on a wonderful director for this production, whose name is Michael Barakiva. And Michael is co-directing it with a woman named Zoe White. And Zoe is transgender, which is very important for this.
I was going to say,
and Michael was Wendy Wasserstein's assistant for years.
Are
and years
you
and years
kidding?
and years.
Oh my
so
God.
he really knows his stuff, and he dramaturgically, he's changed the play a lot and taken it down. It's a much stronger play now.
Well, it just sounds like that all the elements have been brought together,
right,
to really strengthen.
Are coming together,
they're coming together.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll evolve even more and more and more.
Absolutely,
that's what happens.
Well,
that's the fun of being an artist, isn't
exactly.
It is.
I agree.
It
that
is.
Process.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But also the fun of being an artist, you can do something and then it could be brilliant, and for whatever reason doesn't go anywhere. So
well, that happens.
That happens, and then you just have to move on to the next project.
Whatever, or maybe you bring it back some other time.
Or bring it back some other time.
Right.
Yeah. What keeps you going?
I just love my work.
Yes.
I love audiences. I have the best. I mean, as you saw with that clip,
I was
a lot of what I do. A lot of what I do is improvised, especially like what will happen here on New Year's Eve at Pangea. I don't know. Because I make a lot of it up as I'm going along. It's a conversation. It's a
on
conversation
the energy from the artist.
Not just the energy. Not just the energy. Sometimes they talk.
Talking and ordering food. I've heard it. I've never heard it here. It's like sometimes they're loud ordering their food, or they do talk. And it's like, God, that's so awful for the performer.
No, it's wonderful. It's all good. But I mean, look at how much fun we're having here, right? So my work is like that. When I'm in front of an audience, it's exactly like this. We just feed off of each other, and I can't get that anywhere but
no, you're right.
On stage.
Now, I don't know if you remember, I think the first time we met, I had heard of you. I knew the name, but I had never really seen you perform. And I had sang a song at it was the Metropolitan Room for like a Christmas show or something.
Yes, I do remember.
And you did
I did a Jewish Christmas.
Yes, because you did a little segment or a little.
I do remember. Yes.
It was one, and I just remember sitting there with my mouth open,
like
watching you. I was just like, now that man knows what he's doing.
Well, thank
just
you,
from the moment you sat down to the moment you left, it was just remarkable. You were totally captivating. You knew your craft. You knew your art. You knew you're just a supreme professional.
I think totally amazing. Captivating, like that clip. That's
Absolutely.
What I was right. Tim hit the nail on the head. By the way, look at our Rogues Gallery here. We have great people that tuned in.
Everybody break out
here today.
My glasses are over there.
That's what I was reaching for a little while ago.
Okay.
Oh, Jesse Luttrell.
Jesse, hi, Jesse.
Just a second. We gotta go up here.
Okay.
So Sue's Genero, she's a designer up in Massachusetts.
She's great, and she's a
says,
wonderful supporter. JC Augustine from
JC
Whiskey
Augustine. He's
River.
a playwright. Yeah,
playwright.
He says he loves
JC. Write a play for the three of us. JC.
Yes, JC. That's a good suggestion. Ike Avelli, hello, my darling Ike.
Yeah, Ike Avelli is a gay comedian. I do his show. We
wonderful.
travel the country together in
50 Shades of Gay.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, we're three of us are going to do it for my birthday. Bailey Ray, happy New Year to you too.
And she says you guys are so funny.
Thank you. All right.
And Ike says, today you have to do it all. Create, manage, book, promote, dig your own grave, LOL.
Listen, if you do the shows, most of the shows I do, you do dig your own grave.
But Jesse's retort.
Yeah, he goes, Ike
Avelli.
He goes, Ike Avelli, it depends.
My lovely
Joe
Rose
Batista.
Trentman. Oh, Joe Batista, the director.
Yeah, he says fabuloso.
Thank you, Joe, for tuning in. The amazing Rose Trentman. What a one.
Wonderful.
She comes here all the time. She's a great person, a great supporter of the arts, and a great friend. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you, everybody.
Love
we
it.
So appreciate your tuning in.
Yeah. And a shout out to Libby Edwards, who said to me,
yes,
you have to have Mark Nadler.
Libby said Nadler. I'm sure she did.
You have to have Mark on your show, is what Libby said to me, and she brought us together, and it couldn't have been more.
And Libby will be here on New Year's Eve if you want to meet her.
Yeah,
and once again,
a great person.
New Year's Eve,
right?
Call
212-995-0900,
which is here at Pangea, or go to pangeanyc.com and get your tickets for Mark Nadler
if there are any left
at
by now.
8
If there are any
p.m.
left by then,
for the
yeah.
8 p.m. show. And that way you can come, see a show, and get home before all the madness occurs
All
out
the
on the street.
brouhaha.
Or hang
Yes.
out afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, or
Yeah,
hang
it's
out
a
and-
wonderful
yeah,
scene
whatever
here,
you
by
wanna
the
do.
way. New Year's Eve is fabulous.
It's
here.
always fabulous here.
This
This is one of those places, the spirit of this place.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
right.
the spirits in this place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terribly haunted. But that's a whole other show. You've done a lot of one-man shows. You've done shows where you
It's true.
work with people. Do you have a preference of how you work? Do you like being by yourself? Do you like collaborating?
I like both. I like
You
both.
can do both.
I
You're
mean,
versatile.
there are benefits to both, and there are
Is
things
there
that-
anyone I'm going to ask that's going to see is a pain in the ass?
anyone who's a pain in the ass
Yeah,
to work with.
they would say about you. Or
Oh, everybody would say that about me. Are you kidding?
oh, Mark is a real pain in the ass.
Most of the guys I sleep with would say that.
See, you throw something to a comedian
A
like this,
big
and this is what
pain in the ass.
this is what you get back. You know what? Talk about digging my own grave for bringing that up. But you're happy either doing solo or collaborating
Yeah,
with
I mean,
someone.
there are benefits to both, and there are things about both that you prefer not to have.
Right.
But it's always anytime you do anything in this business, there are challenges,
Yeah.
and some of those challenges are fun, and some of those challenges are difficult.
Right.
Right.
But that's
That's
how
showbiz.
lucky are we that this is
Yeah.
the worst it ever gets?
No,
Yeah, 'cause,
exactly.
But one thing that you were saying, it kind of reminded me, like for myself, I do cabaret, I interview on talk show, I do
Versatility.
television,
Mhm.
I do film, I do theater and musicals
Mhm.
and dramas, but what's so funny is the people that are in theater only think that I'm a theater performer, and the people who have seen me sing
I'll tell you something I ran
think I'm
into
just a singer.
when
and-
the revival of cabaret was on Broadway with Alan Cumming,
Mhm.
and I was playing at Sardi's at that time,
Mhm.
and everyone was saying, "You're a shoe-in to play the MC to replace Alan
Right,
Cumming."
perfect.
I'm not a shoe-in because I'm not that kind of a name, and they need a name over the marquee. But still, I
Perfectly.
I wanted
capable
to
play
audition
that part.
for
Yes,
the part.
absolutely.
and the casting director would not see me.
We've heard these
And
stories
why?
before.
I found out why.
I want the why.
Because the casting director said, Mark Nadler is a cabaret performer.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
And
exactly
we're-
what Tim said.
And
yeah.
we're not looking for a cabaret performer. We need an actor. Completely ignoring my resume.
Right.
Which is filled
exactly.
with this
Acting.
is
But-
like, how do we break this?
We
What do
don't.
Well, you don't.
You
It's-
don't. What you? I mean, I've never been able to. I have broken it in that I do theater periodically, but
Mhm.
not often. And
Mhm.
there is a prejudice against cabaret performers
Yeah.
in the world of theater and film, and I've faced that. But on the other hand, I'm so lucky.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
I hear
something.
you.
When I first came to New York, I auditioned for Cats to play Rum Tum
Mhm.
Tugger.
Right,
Mhm.
Tom Tugger.
And this is again, it was a replacement thing. I was auditioning to replace Terry Mann, and
Mhm.
I got this close. I callback after callback after callback. I was one of the last 4 people in consideration, and I didn't get it. It's the luckiest goddamn thing that ever.
Really?
Right.
Can you imagine
Yeah, that would have been it for
8
you.
times
A
a
week.
week listening to that drivel singing that crap? I mean, that's actually a good song, but what about the rest of the score? Oh my
Right.
God,
right.
if I had to sing Jellicle Cats 8 times a week,
That would have been
you would have had to pull me out of the funny farm. It's just
or the
horrible.
scratching
So
And I
post.
maybe
really,
it's
but I
something.
really learned something,
Mhm.
as I got to put together my
Right.
own shows. I never sing songs I don't love.
Right.
How
That's-
lucky
You
am
know,
I?
emotionally
How
connect
lucky am
to.
I?
Yeah, I hear you. That's important.
Because I'm similar, because I have to feel the song.
But if
Yeah.
we were cast in a Broadway show, which I have been,
Mhm.
you have to sing the songs of that
Right.
score
Absolutely.
8 times a
And
week.
learn to enjoy it and love it.
Right.
Well, and sometimes they're good songs. I mean, I've been lucky in that way, but sometimes they're not.
Right.
And you
And
still have to do them 8
that's
times
your
a
job.
week. That's
Yeah,
it's
And
your
you have
job.
to listen to them
Exactly.
8 times a week, and you don't have time to listen to anything else.
Right.
But now, so I just want to talk before we go about some accolades that you have had.
Let's talk about my
Welcome to
accolades.
the accolade portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, bring on the accolade.
Mac
Acco-
Awards.
Yeah,
How many, like 8 or
I don't really. I think 8 or
I was
9.
It's 8
Yeah.
or 9, yeah.
Bistro Awards.
I think I've
These-
gotten 3 or 4 of those.
These are all very prestigious awards.
Nightlife Awards.
Is it Drama Desk?
I was nominated twice for the Drama Desk.
Wow.
I was
that's
nominated for
incredible.
Lucille Ortel. I was nominated for the Helpman Award, which is the Australian Tony Award.
Mhm.
Um,
And don't forget the French.
and the
Yeah.
Trophée du Théâtre
Yeah.
Musical. What other awards have I won?
Editor's Choice Award,
Oh, yeah,
Entertainer of the
Entertainer
Year,
of the Year.
Broadway World.
Yeah. I've been.
It's just
I
a
feel
load
very
of them,
fortunate
yeah.
that people recognize
Your
I
talent.
was
and
just going to
not my
say.
talent, but that they appreciate what it is I do.
Right.
That they,
Right.
it's very rewarding to,
Mhm.
no pun intended, to have people get what you're trying to do and love it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you have received the recognition that you have
Yeah,
received.
that's absolutely.
It's well deserved.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you.
well
Yeah.
deserved.
Well, we
So-
all deserve it.
So next up is New Year's Eve here at Pangea,
8 o'clock.
p.m. 8 p.m. Be here go to PangeaNYC.com
Get your
or
ticket.
call
212-995-0900.
212-995-0900.
You notice I'm not saying it again because I forgot the number already. PIANO.
And also be sure to get your tickets. Jorgensen,
It's called the Christine
59
Jorgensen.
East 59
It's called the Christine Jorgensen Show.
Christine
Yeah.
Jorgensen.
The Christine Jorgensen Show is the name of the play.
Okay.
And it's at 59 East 59th Street
Right.
Theaters, and tickets are available on sale now.
Oh,
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And not for nothing, a legit play, not a cabaret. It's a legit play.
Yes.
And that, come on. And that in
that
a
was
great
written
theater.
for him.
Right, exactly.
Well, my part
Jesus.
was.
Wow.
My part was written for.
Yes.
You can
Exactly.
act. You can really act. You're an actor.
I wonder if he can tap.
Yeah.
Come New Year's Eve and find
Oh,
out.
yeah, right. I'm sure there'll be a lot of
Well,
tapping New
for
Year's
those of
Eve.
you who've never seen me, I actually tap while I'm playing the piano and singing at the same time. So come see how that's done.
Ambidextrous.
Right. I love it.
Thank-
And I love and adore
Adore
Mark
you.
Nadler.
Oh,
Oh
thank
my
you.
goodness.
Thank you both very, very much.
No,
This
thank
has
you
been fun.
so much for being here,
Yes,
Mark.
we
and
appreciate you taking
Libby
this time.
Edwards, she's
Thanks,
an amazing
Libby.
person.
And thanks to all of the people who tuned in today. I
These
hope I
are
see some
all,
of you on
yeah,
Sunday night.
That would
Yes.
be fabulous. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?